evening, everybody. This is Johnny Seville, and this is your executive summary for stock setups for Tuesday. So let's have a look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500 has broken upwards above open range. Open range was set on Friday with a high of 2389.06. Today we closed at 2394, which would indicate that we would remain in or above that range by the time we get to the end of the month, being the 31st. So again, we've got some very interesting market action, but a lot of movement in both directions. If we actually have a look at stocks in the S&P 500 that are above or below their moving average, we're still kind of just bouncing around at these low levels. Only half the stocks in the market basically above their 50-day support. So we are seeing obviously action in both directions, but so far that would mean a bullish signal for the short term. Let's have a look at gold. You can see that the prices of gold. Here we go. Have been very strong in the last couple of weeks. We've had that really nice kind of rounded bottom, and obviously big rally last week on Wednesday. We pulled back and just looking like we're starting to try and test to break through that resistance. So of course, having a look at things like Ivanhoe, which we have been talking about a while, we're seeing that's holding support. Of course, the other commodity company, Hecla, has been holding up really well. So so far there's been some good action there in the commodity side. A quick look at the oil prices. Here we go. Okay, so we can see the oil prices have rallied up, and we're kind of just back inside this channel now. So we'll see what happens over the next few days, but there's obviously a good squeeze going on right now. So we're still certainly looking for the possible shorts in the oil area, but again, we're getting a bit of a squeeze here as we move upwards. So we'll see if we can break through this moving average here, and if we can get any higher, we may or possibly reverse. Okay, so this brings us over to our stock setups. We've got GPRK, which actually is an oil based play. This one's been very strong even in the downturn of oil prices. So I actually like this. Came up on the bull flag on Friday, and I like this at the current prices. Maybe a pullback to around 853 or that area. And we can see that I'd be looking at a stop criteria of 787, and I'd be looking at a target of 983. So yeah, again, just to pull back to about that, I mean, even 855 or 1 cent either way of that would be fine. But basically, that's should be good to go from there. All right, so there's so 855 target 983. Look at the stop criteria at 787. It's got a very low short float of only 0.09%. So there's not many people out there actually shorting that. So there's some good strength as a possible hedge, and that's just the first target. It could go higher than that, and we'd be looking at then, as you can see, it hasn't been on the market terribly long. Is a lower volume stock. We'd be looking for a longer term target here of coming back up to those highs around 1083. Okay. Now let's go on to another one on my watch list on the long side of things. You check out these two stocks. These are certainly on my watch list. CGI. It's a little bit early yet, but we're keeping an eye on this as the moving averages start to converge. But too soon to trade, I believe. The other one that's maybe getting a little bit closer to keep your eye on is CLW. This is formed a really nice base, and if we can get these moving averages to cross, that should be a very nice long fallen angel setup for a run up to the moving average. So we'd be looking basically at a rally from, say, 46.63 up to a minimum target of where this 50-day moving average is, which would be around $50, let's say. So that's on the watch list there. All right. Okay. Let's have a look now in terms of short setups. I've got so there's a couple long ideas and a couple short ideas. CAB is a possible stock trade. Looks like if this one can break down below 52.33, we may be able to get a nice little drop down towards this support level you can see, which would be a target of 47.33. I look at a stop loss of 54.47. So looking at pretty tight stop losses in this scenario. That's got divergent money flow. There's not a lot of insider action one way or the other, and there has been some action in the long-term calls. Someone's protecting their short position, or someone's betting on the company. Either way, I like it as a short-term trader, rather than a long-term one. It's had a lot of volatility, but I wouldn't expect much further down than there. But as you can see, there's certainly the volatility in the stock for it to have those types of moves. It may get down as low as 40, but that would certainly be my short-term target there at 47.33. Okay, let's go over to the other one. This one is a little more interesting because it does actually have the insider selling going on. It's standard motor parts. It's not very optionable. There's not a lot of options if you're an options trader. If you were, I mean, I'd be looking at this thing. It's the September $50 puts are around about $3. But there's only about 15 options on the open interest, so it's illiquid. But if you're looking for an option side, I'd look at the 50 Septembers. But for this, otherwise, it looks like a nice breakdown. You can see all the moving averages are clustering beneath it. So if we can see this break, it needs to continue its break, but there's a long way for it to go. And as you can see, if we measure the Fibonacci's from where this leg began from here to there, you can see that would give us even if it dropped to the 61.8, we're looking basically at a drop to around $40. So on $44, sorry. So I'll be looking for a break of 48.33, looking at a stop signal of $50.23, and my target one there is $44.13. So that's all for now, folks. It's we've got a couple of longs to watch there, and that GPRK potential. I will show you one last thing. Sorry, SNDX also on my watch list. The only thing I didn't like about it is that after it rallied on the 17th. On May 17th, one of the insiders actually sold into that rally, but otherwise I'm keeping an eye on this. It could certainly be a possible flag play. You could look at a possible trade there. We discussed this in Mastermind last week, but I'm waiting to see what happens if it breaks through $16. But an early entry possibly could be there, and look at a stop criteria below the low of 13.63. So you're basically looking at about $1 of risk currently, and but that's a flag with some potential. And as you can see, it's got the possibility of getting up into those higher areas. Let's look at how that compares to previous reversal zones. Very strong resistance there. So I wouldn't be expecting much more than let's have a look here. 1732. So I'd probably wait for the break, but again, a more aggressive trader may look at an entry now from 1461, and my target would be 17. Let's have a look at again. Just want to get this high here, 1704. Yeah, so 1713 would be my target on this. So conservative entry, we'd be waiting for a break of 1604, for example. Maybe not even that much. What's the high of this candle? 1570. So you'd be waiting for a break of, say, 1573 or 74. Break of 1574, target 1713. You'd have to wait to see where this bounce was in terms of putting the stop loss, and of course that'll show you where the support is. An early entry would be a break of today's high, which would be 1460, 1471 or 1473, let's say. break of 1473. Same target, and I'd look at a stop below the low of this candle, which would be 1357. Okay, so there you go. You've got a few ideas there, and certainly we'll look forward to seeing you all in Trading Room tomorrow. Have a wonderful night, and happy trading tomorrow.